The Canadian Open's change means Coco Gauff's old complaint about the tournament is unlikely to happen this year. Coco Gauff is into the round of 32 at the Canadian Open, but to get there, she had to summon all her grit and determination. After all, she was pushed to the brink by compatriot Danielle Collins, who actually served for the match before her 21-year-old opponent won the deciding third set on a tiebreak, a dramatic, fitting conclusion to a fine night of tennis, lasting just shy of 3 hours. Such a grueling clash actually provoked memories of the issues faced at this very tournament 2 years ago. Especially in one particular match, where Elena Rybakina faced Daria Kasatkina in the quarterfinal, a clash that lasted just shy of 3.5 hours, she admitted she felt destroyed afterwards, concluding her clash after 3 a.m. Coco Gauff certainly had plenty to say on the matter at the time. What Coco Gauff said about the Canadian Open scheduling in 2023. Rightly, she was furious. After all, when it comes to player welfare, this is as poor as it gets, to force one of the sport's biggest stars to fight deep into the night because of poor scheduling. Fortunately, it seems like that issue may have been fixed with the Canadian Open's extension this year, now a 12-day event. But, at the time, Gauff let loose. Rybakina's match she finished at 3 a.m., which is insane. She's right. It does set you up for a terrible week. I do think some of the tournaments, especially the one-week tournaments where there's not that extra day, have to do better. It was 100% chance of rain that day at 6 p.m. We knew. I wasn't in Montreal, I was on the way to Cincinnati, and I knew they weren't playing that 6 p.m. match. Personally, I think they could have moved that match to the second stadium. Because it sets up a bad week for that person, and also the fans didn't get to see a quality match in the final. Unfortunately, I think Elena and IGA said the same. There's not much the players can do in that situation. We can fight. For me, when I had that night match against Marquetta because of the rain, I really fought for the not before 2 o'clock time. That saved me the extra 30 minutes in the morning. But it's tough because the tournament is trying to work with TV. There's a lot of things people don't realize. It's not as easy as just saying, let's move all the matches up, because we still have to sell our sport. Despite that, Gauff gave her thoughts on the Canadian Open crowd ahead of the event, and said she did like one other change being made this year. Is the longer Canadian Open a good or a bad thing? There are many different schools of thought when it comes to elongating tournaments, with players having given their thoughts on both sides. Some would argue that by extending these events, it only drags out more mentally draining periods. The Grand Slams are the pinnacle of tennis, across a 14-day period, which pushes players to their physical and mental limits. To have some Masters 1000 events just 2 days shy of that seems smart in theory, to prevent the relentless day-after-day matches and allow for smarter scheduling. However, it also forces players to remain in that stressful bubble for longer, adding to an already high-pressure atmosphere. It's all about preference, and for Gauff, after her complaints 2 years ago, the Canadian Open's change seems like a logical solution. Tennis Morning Dawn in Montreal, a tournament reimagined. The sun rises over Montreal's staid IGA. Players stretch, courts await, and the Canadian Open, newly expanded to 12 days, hums with fresh energy. Gone are the frenetic one-week squashes. The schedule now breathes, allowing players and fans a more relaxed rhythm. That transformation. It's precisely what addresses Coco Gauff's past frustration. Flashback. Gauff's nightmarish 2023 scheduling. In 2023, Elena Rybakina and Daria Kasatkina's quarterfinal stretched into the early hours, ending close to 3 a.m. That freakishly late finish left Rybakina destroyed the next day. Gauff herself was incensed. It was 100% chance of rain. They could have moved that match to the second stadium. Because it sets up a bad week for that person. Daily Express US +8 Tennis Head +8 Sportskeeda +8. She criticized the one-week format, forced into cramped scheduling, no buffer days. Some tournaments have to do better when balancing TV demands and player welfare. Tennis Head. Enter the 2025 extension. More days, smarter scheduling. In 2025, the Canadian Open was extended to 12 days, providing essential breathing room between rounds. Tennis Head. What does this mean? Rain delays are easier to absorb. Matches start time sanely, avoiding deadly late-night finishes. Graceful recovery enhances physical readiness and quality of competition. In short, the very scenario Gauff railed against, matches dragging deep into the night, is far less likely this year. Gauff's 2025 perspective, a more pleasant experience. Arriving in Montreal, after Toronto hosted the women's event last year, the change of city adds freshness she enjoys. It makes you face the tournaments with a lot of freshness, as if everything were new. Sportskeeda plus 10 tennis head plus 10 essentially sports plus 10 sportskeeda plus 9 tennisuptodate.com plus 9 and .wikipedia.org plus 9. Gauff has praised the longer format and smoother scheduling, aptly calling the 2025 version refreshing and appreciating the improved player conditions. Tennis head. Even as she admitted she didn't play in Washington to take a real training block and avoid burnout, she acknowledged that the Canadian Open's more flexible structure allowed her to compete with peace of mind, free from the specter of scheduling chaos. Sportskeeda plus 3 tennisuptodate.com plus 3 sportskeeda plus 3. The 2025 reality. Match drama without the midnight madness. In round 2, Gauff battled past Danielle Collins in a tense nearly 3-hour match, messy, marathon-style tennis, but wrapped before midnight. Despite 23 double faults, she pulled through in a decisive tiebreaker 7-6, 2, essentially sports plus 5 sportskeeda plus 5 daily express US plus 5. No one ended their match after 3 a.m. No official voiced Rybakina-level exhaustion. That, in itself, is symbolic proof that the format shift has changed the game, literally and figuratively. Imagining a better week, what could have been? Picture 2025's tournament as a calmly paced 4-act play. Warm-up and training days, players easing in. Rounds spaced out, no doubleheaders or compressed slots. Weather fallout handled, delayed games slotted into new days. Evening schedules capped, preserving rest and performance. This contrasts starkly with 2023's sprint-to-finish model. The longer event nurtures quality, avoids nightmare match finishes, and honors the concerns Gauff once raised. Why it's a creative win? Thematic parallels. The story of Montreal 2025 is a narrative of rebirth. Gauff's previous frustration becomes a catalyst for real, systemic change. The urban shift between Toronto and Montreal mirrors her own journey, finding novelty and renewal each year. Extending the tournament's days rebalances competition, placing player welfare at its heart. It's poetic, the athlete's voice influencing the very structure that threatened fairness, now reshaped in response. Final thoughts: a future where night matches are rare. Coco Gauff's 2025 experience seems bookended by optimism. The extended format prevents match endings past dawn. Rain days and tight draws found smoother handling. Her own play, gritty yet scheduled, reflected a tournament now better geared to respect its athletes.